This is the second in a four-part series, I think, on regulation and arousal and the nervous system. So looking at the different profiles, today we're going to look at low arousal, your EORs. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Move About Therapy Services YouTube channel. I'm Dave Jereb. I am the owner of Move About Therapy Services. I am also the creator of the Move About activity cards. Today we're going to talk about low arousal kids, or kids that take a lot of input to get cooking. If you haven't watched the first in this series, which was on a typical day or a typical nervous system, this would be a good time to go back and watch that first. That really sets the stage for this. But today we're going to focus on guys with a big low zone. In the last one, we looked at having a high zone, a low zone, and a just right zone, or an optimal band of arousal. Hopefully we have a nice broad optimal band of arousal where we can be both calm and grounded, but also awake and alert and connected with what we're doing. So we want that middle zone to be quite broad so that we can be adaptable to different sorts of scenarios. The guys we talk about today are guys that have a really big low zone, and it really takes a lot to get cooking. So they just kind of plod along in that low zone and never really get to crisp unless they're able to get sufficient input to really wake their bodies up and get connected. Now, before I get into this, I want to say none of these are right or wrong. Actually, sometimes it can even be helpful, and we might even give some examples towards the end. But these guys get called lazy or lethargic or a plodder or even depressed. And really what it is they just need a lot to get cooking. I had a little girl that I was working with, and she's one of my great teachers of me in terms of my profession. And I was testing her eye response, her oculomotor responses. And I had pen lights with little monster toys on it, and I said, should we give them a name? And she said, yeah. I was like, oh, what should we call them? She said, oh, so you still thinking? She's like, yeah. I was like, oh. Maybe someone at school, someone in your class? Yeah. Someone in your family? Oh, and we came up with a name. Now, probably it was a little bit like a typewriter, if anyone remembers what a typewriter was. It felt like she was almost there, and then I'd ask a question, and ding, she'd be back to the start again. But she just was foggy. It was hard to process. It was hard to think. She was so slow to respond. But what I actually did next was I took her into one of our treatment spaces, and she was climbing through lycra clouds and climbing up to the corner to rescue things, and then we'd bounce and shake her, and then she'd climb and rescue something else. She could answer questions like this, bam, 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 bam. She needed that movement to wake up. And if she didn't have it, everything was so slow. It was like moving through molasses. But then when she got a little bit of movement and she perked up a little bit, she was really able to respond and engage once she was in that just right zone. It just took a little more to get her there. So she probably will be an adult that needs to go for a run in the morning. She may be an adult that has to have a shower in the morning. What her family learned was that she really needed activity in the morning, and that investment in time really paid off. Her mum was hilarious. So her mum would say, I don't get it. She drives me crazy. She can get dressed on the weekends. Why can't she get dressed for school? It's the same thing every day. She doesn't have to decide. Why is it so hard? And as we started to unpack, I heard the story where, well, first I'd say, well, when do you get dressed on weekends? Oh, a bit slower, usually about 9 or 10. Okay. What about weekdays? Oh, she's really going to be dressed by 7:15. Okay. And what happens? And so mum would say, she'd say, go upstairs and get dressed. And this little girl would wander up the stairs, and she'd walk towards a closet and see her My Little Pony, and then be looking at it, and then look out the window, and then come down and show mum the My Little Pony, and mum would be like, why aren't you dressed? And she just couldn't stay on task. She couldn't stay on task. She couldn't plan. She couldn't sequence. And what they found was if they kicked her out to the trampoline for 10 minutes, they got out of the house 20 minutes quicker. Because not only did she move more quickly and respond more quickly, she could hold a plan, she could keep her attention, she could sequence those tasks. She was far more independent in getting dressed, but also eating her breakfast, getting her shoes on, and getting out to the car. So 10-minute investment in sensory diet saved them 20 minutes in the long run. And that was something that family could commit to and saw great gains. And the beautiful part was actually that their interactions as a family was so much less stressful in the morning. So being able to identify that she was a bit of an Eeyore, she had a big low zone, so the sooner we could get her to her just right zone, the better it was for the family. Now, I did say that I'd mentioned that none of these are right or wrong. It's all about what the setting is that they're having to fit. So being in a low zone on a sleepy Sunday morning is no big deal at all. Actually, it can be quite nice to be sort of sitting on a porch and drinking a coffee. But it could be really good for a Sunday afternoon movie time where you might be under a doona on a rainy day. That's great to be in a sleepy low zone, and it's certainly great as you're going to bed. Actually, there's some careers that can work for. So I've got a mate, and he's a firefighter, and he's totally a bit more of a low zone guy. And you think, oh, geez, he's a first responder. How does that work to be a first responder and to be in the low zone? But the thing is, when flames are coming out of the building and bells and whistles are going off and we're all running around with our hands above our head, he's able to pull up, switch on, and focus. Have you ever noticed how ambulance drivers are able to walk to the scene of the accident? Yes, they're trained to do that, but they're also, I think, often uniquely designed for that. They're able to pull up, switch on, focus, be aware of their surroundings. That's where they function best. And so their sensory profile is a good match for that. So it's not that, so for that little girl I spoke about, she probably will be a bit of an Eeyore all of her life. It's not that you magically change that, but then it's also, we hope that we give her a broader range and we stretch out that just right zone so that she is more adaptable, more able to find it, more able to function across a range of activities in her life. Thanks for watching the Move About YouTube channel and our episode on big low zones, low arousal guys. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button somewhere down there so you don't miss out on the next one, which will be on sensory seeking. And if you didn't watch the one on a typical nervous system or a typical day, please go back and watch that, because that'll be really useful content too, and leave some discussion for us. And I'll see you next time.